It's a lovely good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Siambo. Our top stories in the news tonight: President Hakainde Hichilema cautioned against carelessly signing international agreements on mineral wealth. 9.5% of public health facilities have been recommended for closure, reveals the Health Professions Council of Zambia. Heaps of uncollected garbage in MUMBWA'S MALATA area irk residents. And in international news, key figures in DR Congo say government outsources security in the east. And in sports news, Norwich City head coach Dean Smith sacked after a run of just 3 wins in 13 championship matches.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is inviting all skillfully gifted, talented and creative soccer players from across Zambia. Ages between 16 and 20 must come, train and join the club. The category of these gifted footballers have the chance to go and market their talent in Europe and USA through Camnet Stars Football Club, a team formed with a vision to produce quality international players. Please do not miss this brief open opportunity given to you. Camnet Stars Football Club could be your gateway to your international soccer career. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Date 12th December 2022 to 21st January 2023. Time 09 hours to 11 hours. Your time to shine is now.
Hello once again, and now the news in detail. Residents of Malata area in Mumba district of Central Province have called on the local authority to clear the garbage in the area, which is posing a health hazard to their lives. Speaking to the media, the irate residents have stated that if left unattended to by the local authority, the uncollected garbage has potential of bringing waterborne related infections such as cholera. Meanwhile, MUMBWA Town Council Public Relations Officer Tina Kaseba said the accumulation of garbage was due to the breakdown of the tractor for the council. More in this report.
It is a very well-known fact that flies and scavengers get attracted to garbage, interpreting that garbage which goes uncollected acts as magnet to germs, thereby posing a health hazard to human life, especially during the rainy season. It is with this view that the residents of MUMBWA'S MALATA area have called on the local authority to clear the garbage which is now becoming their threat.
Chibwera pano manzi vula ikaloka manzi aenda kuja kota fairs ndimo mene manzi ametu kumwa na chishara chinunka every time sumbwera kukilina chishara ichi nanga muku nakansi muchikukise pano nanga sumku na chishara ichi kuchira ise mkatuzidwa alifa tuli na vana vangono vana vajanabo vakesirako chani chishara chikayamba kuchita maningi vazambo odwala
pemba upa chishara chatu ichapa bali machopo ali pafupi maningi ava prosebenzela hapa ukumanje kuti mwavyo mazi vili hapa ivoze futi vikangura ikaroka hapa imaenda ukuti enda mota fia sote nzo pemba bakwe bati abantu bafakire konza bako bati ibintu bisaziyambo zula swapa aya manzi futi ayaenda ku market ku mashopu ku aba pa futi basebenza apa futi pali nyumba hapa.
Others have cited that if left unchecked, The area is on a verge of contracting waterborne-related diseases like cholera.
Spread as long as it's a dirty place. So government affected everywhere. To make matters worse, na bana bangono roisa mene wakuru tingadwalire moya peze kamanzi yatente mukaenda huku yaenda kwenda kuja kuota fairs ndio manzi amene ajende peze kakuti tukumwa so tingadwale matende opusana mwandi so muyanganepo lo bakazi babwele sibakiride chara ichibabwele chabayorako tungono baenda.
Mumbwa Town Council Public Relations Officer Tina Kasiva has made a stance regarding the accumulation of waste.
2 weeks ago, where both our tractors were down, hence that's the reason why the accumulation of waste, which is currently taking place at the main market. But however, the council did realize to see other options to see how best we can remove that waste. So we managed to work on our 2 tractors quickly, so that the collection can be the garbage can be collected. And then at the same time, we have also considered engaging just a few casual workers to beef up on the work so that
MUMBWA.
The Zambia Association of the Blind in Urban and Rural Areas President Keshi Chisambi is disappointed that government has continued to attribute limited resources to the failure to import learning materials for persons with disabilities. Mr. Chisambi is disappointed that the authorities have been championing the narrative that importation of learning materials is an expensive venture without finding a lasting solution. Mr. Chisambi says if Zambia is to achieve inclusive access to education in
disabilities,
government has commended the Zambia Federation of Disability Organizations for states dollars. Speaking during the handover of the items, MUMBWA District Commissioner Namukolo Hayumbo said the wheelchairs will go a long way in seeing beneficiaries carry on with their daily activities. Mrs. Hayumbo says government will render help to Margaret Nalwamba with capital and 13-year-old Olisi Mutinta on education with a Constituency Development Fund CDF component.
Zambia Federation of Disability Organization in MUMBWA District has donated 2 wheelchairs to Margaret Nalwamba and Olisi Mutinta to help them in their movements. Zafford Programs Manager Mishek Katongo now gives an overview on the donated items.
We are very excited to hand over these chairs, wheelchairs. As you know, this is a big step towards the human development. Making our citizens become productive citizens. If you look at the child, she's eager to access school. And for her to access school, we need to provide this assistive technology, which enables her to access education. And as we know, education is a prerequisite to human development. Education is an equalizer for humans.
For government, its call to other well-wishers is to come on board.
To see such activities, I also appeal to well-wishers. We have a lot of other citizens in the communities, MUMBWA District, who need wheelchairs, and those who can afford to come on board to help us cater for our sisters, children and brothers who are disadvantaged. Please come on board.
The development has excited Margaret and Olisi's mother.
At least especially business na kuanisha pantu injinga nali kwa treyandi ebu afya na kwete pano pondi kwete abana babwidobo nsunga nombo mwakuba kitira nchikwete
ndoromba kudeetera wheelchair mwana utajikonye kugenda kutalika kwinka kujigoro kamanda rapenziri umumaningiriya kunyamuna aye ku toilet kunyamuna ande chayanda kunyamuna bwe utete ni mupe chayanda so ndarumba maningi kupenzeriya ndichisindi mwandi kwashiriya mahulumende ndarumba maningi.
Meanwhile, MUMBWA District Association for People with Disability has a word to share.
For my lady here, she's looking after a big family.
and she's in business, small business entities on which she depends on people to help her, which we thought was not good unless she has something that can help her move about on her own.
Mumbo district has a number of people with disabilities in need of wheelchairs. Therefore, assistance of this nature cannot be overlooked. Matias Chewe, Camnet News, Mumbwa.
Mumbwa Child Development Agency, MCDA, has observed with concern that violence between couples in homes has a negative impact on the academic performance of children. Speaking during a sensitization meeting for police officers and their spouses, MCDA Child Protection and Sponsorship Coordinator Kenneth Ludaka says children who come from homes of violence tend to perform below par, and he has since appealed to couples to show love to one another for the betterment of their families. More in the following report.
Mumbwa Child Development Agency MCDA has held a sensitization meeting with the police and their spouses aimed at reducing the rampant cases of gender-based violence in the district. MCDA Child Protection and Sponsorship Coordinator Kenneth Ludaka now shares the psychological effects of gender-based violence in homes.
But sometimes when you just do this, wherever they are, because they have been seeing that for some time. Okay? So as a result, you discover that even when they're at school, at church, or everywhere, there will be that. Sometimes you discover that they will be in isolation. They don't want to be part and parcel of what is happening in the community, even in our compounds. So that is number one. Number two, it affects their mental. A child will be, thinking, because they're not supposed to be exposed to some of these things. But as a result of what is happening in our homes, you discover they start thinking too much.
District Education Board Secretary Paxina Mwewa says couples that are frequently fighting each other can lead to poor academic performance of their children.
Marriage is not in a good standing. It also affects the children and dependents that are in that home. They are psychologically affected with what goes on in the home, and that affection also is carried out to schools, and you find that children cannot concentrate in school, and they tend to be slow learners because of what is happening in the marriage.
And the District One Stop Center Coordinator has called on people to report the cases of gender-based violence to relevant authorities.
There's GBV, but we are failing to come out. We are failing. In the name of our medical superintendent, this is what is happening in my home. How is society going to look at me? How is society going to look at me? Let's forget about society. Yeah, we are dealing with human beings. We are not dealing with animals. We are human.
Matias Chewe, Camnet News, Mumbwa.
All People's Congress Party President Nestor Musoni has advised President Hakainde Hichilema to be consulting the people of Zambia before committing the country to bilateral and multilateral agreements on the country's mineral wealth. Mr. Musoni says unilateralism in politics and governance is the single most cause of political instability in many African countries. The opposition leader says political leaders must always endeavor to consult widely with other stakeholders before committing the country to any form of agreements with foreign governments. He says desperation for profits by President Hichilema should not be at the expense of Zambia's political stability.
To consult other stakeholders if you're going to commit this country to foreign governments, especially the mineral wealth. most countries in Africa are grappling with political instability because individuals have taken it upon themselves to go and commit their country to agreements that are binding without consulting other stakeholders. Now, the recent agreements which were recently signed with a foreign government is a source of concern to all of us. And we think that unilateralism should be avoided at all costs. It is important for political leaders to consult, especially when it comes to the mineral wealth of our country. These are things that have created instability in the Congo, in the Great Lakes region, because individuals have taken it upon themselves to go and commit their respective countries to foreign governments. Okay? These foreign governments protect these agreements violently. So we think that without endangering any of the leaders of our country, particularly opposition leaders, it is important that when you want to commit your country, our country, adequate consultations are done.
The Zambian government has revised upwards the minimum wages for domestic workers, shop workers, and employees covered under general order. Among the notable changes, domestic workers will be earning 1,300 kwacha from 993 kwacha 16 ngwe. For those under grade 1, which include office orderlies, will be earning 2,313 kwacha 10 ngwe from 1,698 kwacha 16 ngwe, and those under grade 2, who include drivers and sales assistants, will be getting 2,722 kwacha 57 ngwe from 1,994 kwacha 14 ngwe. Labor and Social Security Minister Brenda Tambatamba says the changes are based on research that was undertaken by Zambia Institute for Policy Analysis and the recommendations derived from the Tripartite Consultative Labor Council.
The move by the Zambian government to increase the minimum wage for domestic, shopkeepers and general workers has come as a sigh of relief and the positive festive season gift to some workers who continue to struggle to meet their needs in the wake of the ever-escalating cost of living. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security, following consultation with sector players, revised the earnings of various vulnerable employees in the country. Among the notable changes is that domestic workers will be earning 1,300 kwacha from 993 kwacha 60 ngwe. Labour Minister Brenda Tambatamba has emphasized that the revised minimum wages will only apply to vulnerable categories of employees and not unionized workers.
Under the statutory instrument number 70, Shopkeepers Order of 2018, grade 1, for instance, handy persons, office orderlies, odd gross was 1,698 16 ngwe, and the new gross pay is 2,313 10 ngwe. Grade 2, for instance, drivers, sales assistants and packers are covered here. The odd gross pay was 1,994 14 ngwe, and the new gross pay is 2,722 kwacha 57.
Although it is worth noting that the revised minimum wages do not tally with the cost of living for a family of 5 as measured by the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflections, JCTR, which stands at 8,567 kwacha 20 ngwe as of the month of November 2022. And the minister said the Tripartite Consultative Labor Council has also passed a resolution to review the existing minimum wages and conditions of employment for mining and communication sectors.
Has taken ZIPA to gather more, or has tasked ZIPA to gather more information in order to adequately guide the LAC to come up with appropriate recommendations on the formulation of the sector-based minimum wages for the information, communication and technology, ICT and mining sectors, which were not completed. The minimum wages and conditions of employment for truck and bus drivers order was considered, but the LAC resolved to carry out a comparative analysis with other countries within the COMESA region to benchmark best practice, as this particular sector is operating across the borders.
The Zambia Congress of Trade Unions, ZCTU, is happy to note that the wages for vulnerable workers have been revised upwards.
The challenge on the unions to up their game, that this minimum wage which has been set, we don't expect the unionized workers to get something near to this, but it should be above. So we will engage on the capacity building, especially from our part as Congress, where our members are able to negotiate and have more bargaining power.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Meanwhile, the Cleaning Association of Zambia has welcomed the new minimum wage for domestic and general workers with reservations. Association President Lawrence Makumbi says the increase has been long overdue, but there is a need to give cleaning companies enough time to implement the changes. Mr. Makumbi says the contractors must be made aware of the need to revise the rates upwards so that the benefit can trickle down to the workers. He has since predicted that if the changes in wages are implemented without taking into consideration teething issues in the sector, there will be a high number of labor disputes.
The government must assist the cleaning companies by making sure that the implementation of this law is guided. We do not want workers to expect us to pay them the minimum wage in December of 2022. The implementation must be gradual. Government is a client to all the cleaning companies that are in Zambia, and there are a lot of parastatal companies that are also clients to cleaning contractors. We may need time and government intervention in this matter, because in 2018, when there was the new minimum wage, which took the wages to 1,600,000, we had a very big problem in that the implementation was immediate. If this one is also immediate, it will force cleaning companies to go into rapid negotiations with institutions that have contracted us. Mind you, we have signed contracts for 1 year, others are for 2 years, hence we need to go back to these institutions that have contracted us, including government and the parastatal companies. And these negotiations do not take 1 week or 1 day. They take time. And at times, the clients, including government, they do not accept the increase. And in this case, there is about 1,000 which we need to increase to the already existing rates that we have had.
The Health Professions Council of Zambia, HPCZ, says about 9.5% of public health facilities were this year non-compliant to the National Health Care Standards, thus recommending that they be closed down. HPCZ Senior Public Relations Manager Terry Musonda says the non-compliance of these facilities can be attributed to poor infrastructure, inadequate maintenance, lack of human resources, as well as the lack of specialists in some cases. Mr. Musonda further says 62% of public health facilities were partially compliant, while 97% of private health facilities were compliant to the standard. Meanwhile, Mr. Musonda says the council had received about 42 cases of alleged professional misconduct from January to 2022 to date.
From a public health facility point of view, the compliance level stood at 62, which was the partial compliance, and 9.5 as non-compliant, and these were recommended for closure. Now, this can be attributed to a number of factors which our team of inspectors did assess on the ground. One, we are talking about infrastructure, old infrastructure which lacked maintenance schedules. So it's very important that these infrastructure buildings, they need to have maintenance schedules for them to stick to uphold or to be in line with the required standards. Then also with regards to human resource for health, we discovered the discrepancy between recruitment and placement or deployment. In some facilities during the year under review could find a facility is overstaffed, the next facility is almost not staffed. With regards to compliance of private health facilities, I think they stood at 97 and they need to be commended. And this is the reason why as HPCZ we are on record that private health facilities should be viewed in positive light. They help to bridge the gap. Their statistics stood at 97, which is very positive and it's a way to go.
You're watching Camnet Television, main news. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti for your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, my dear. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Good news, the rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation Wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Examination Council of Zambia, ECZ, has alleged that the decision to nullify the results of the over 8,700 candidates who sat for the 2022 General Certificate of Education was based on evidence presented before it. ECZ Public Relations Manager Nicholas Nkua says the council acted within the confines of the law and will not bend to suit the needs of certain individuals. Mr. Nkua further says the decision to nullify some results should be commended as it is targeted at promoting quality education in Zambia. Earlier, some candidates who sat for the 2022 GCE examinations protested against the decision to withhold their results by the council in examination malpractice allegations, stating that some of them were innocent. More in this report.
The desires for one to attain a grade 12 certificate so that they can advance their studies or better off get a job has been shattered for over 8,700 candidates who sat for the 2022 General Certificate of Education GCE examinations after the Examination Council of Zambia announced that it had nullified their examinations. Some of the affected in August this year protested, demanding that the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema intervenes in their case.
Please, sir, hear our results as your children. We don't know the criteria which the ECZ were using.
Unonkala ma prostitute, Stephen auti ma brothers batu bankale bakawala wakazienda mu street kwemba opoka bantu mafoni no anda tinankala pa ma exams tisakira ma future yatu tifuno tandiza ma parents.
But the Examination Council of Zambia has insisted that it acted in accordance with the law by nullifying the examinations of the over 8,000 candidates. ECZ Public Relations Officer Nicholas Nkua says the council has proof linking all the candidates whose examinations have been nullified to examination malpractices.
We act on evidence, and there was overwhelming evidence. As you may see in the Act in Section 22, subsection 2, the ECZ Act actually empowers the council where it is satisfied that there is a reasonable cause to prove that people were involved in examination malpractice and act accordingly by nullifying the results. So we worked on evidence. We did not work on hearsay, but we worked on evidence.
Mr. Nkua further says the council should be commended for the work it is doing in ensuring that examination malpractice is completely eliminated, adding that all those who break the law should face the consequences of their actions.
We will continue to work in a collaborative manner to ensure that our assessment system remains valid and is comparable to international standards. So anyone or any group of persons that will try to discredit our efforts, we will not take that kindly, because as a council we have put in systems and measures to ensure that these examinations that we conduct are continuously improving and continuously remaining of international standard.
For now, those affected will have to reconsider rewriting the examinations and this time avoid being entangled in examination malpractices. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Government says it has undertaken an entrepreneurship training impact assessment in selected TVET institutions in the 10 provinces of Zambia to appreciate some of the challenges being faced in entrepreneurship development in the country. Ministry of Technology and Science Permanent Secretary Brilliant Habenzu says the findings will assist in determining the review of the entrepreneurship curriculum and also support the development of entrepreneurship training material by TVETA. Mr. Habenzu said this in a speech read on his behalf by Vocational and Training Director Alex Simumba at the opening of the 15th Annual Global Entrepreneurship Week 2022, being held under the theme Transforming Zambia's Natural Minerals and Culture Resources and Economic Growth and Wealth for All Citizens. And Global Entrepreneurship Network Board member Dr. Margaret Siwale says the meeting is also aimed at promoting student development in entrepreneurship, as most colleges and universities have incorporated entrepreneurship in their curriculum to avoid dependency on white-collar jobs once they graduate. More in this report.
Tuesday, 27th December 2022, the 15th Global Entrepreneurship Week has commenced in Lusaka and will end on the 30th of December 2022. Different entrepreneurs drawn from different parts of the country have gathered to learn from each other, while others have used this as an opportunity to showcase their businesses.
Other benefits of this is it helps with blood pressure, it regulates blood pressure, it regulates blood sugar, it helps improve your mental health and the like, and it's good for, muscles because it helps with muscle soreness and whatnot.
Meanwhile, Ministry of Technology and Science Permanent Secretary Brilliant Habenzo, who was represented by Ministry Vocational and Training Director Alex Mumba, took time to mentor the participants on the importance of entrepreneurship and how they can identify business opportunities.
I think we need to change our cultural values toward business. Business can be very successful without any evil or cultural kind of salvage life. Who says if you don't succeed when you are a little murderer or you suck blood from someone? I think let's move away from those very wrong traditional values. Even when you sell on the street, you are very dirty, very uncourteous, and simply I can't go and done. All you simply say, sorry sir, but must be young and 5 watch.
Meanwhile, Global Entrepreneurship Network Board member Dr. Margaret Swale spoke on the importance of incorporating entrepreneurship in most vocational institutions.
In spite of all these problems, Zambia has to diversify, and you and I can make that difference. I know one of the things that have been noted about our culture and the way we work is poor work culture, lack of entrepreneurship. We just don't put things in order. One of the things that you need to know is if I'm selling tomato here and Madam Sakala is selling tomato here, what is it that I'm going to do different so that my tomatoes are attractive?
The 15th Global Entrepreneurship Week is being held under the theme Transforming Zambia's Natural Minerals and Cultural Resources and Economic Growth and Wealth for All Citizens. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, NUPEZ, has commended government for repealing the death penalty in the Penal Code of Zambia. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, NUPEZ General Secretary Nelson Mwale says many teachers have fallen victim of the act and have been on death row for a long time. Mr. Mwale adds that with the abolishing of the act, President Hakainde Hichilema should now consider pardoning most of these teachers through the presidential prerogative of mercy, adding that most of the offenders have transformed. He says this will allow for more incarcerated key subject teachers to rejoin the service and bridge the gap that has been created by their absence in schools.
I also want to applaud His Excellency, the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, for, completely, abolishing the death penalty. You realize that as a profession, we have been hit hard. We have a lot of teachers that are incarcerated. Others are even on death row at Mkoweko there and these other prisons. And so we are saying we appreciate the abolition of death penalty, and this may help us have our teachers out, especially if they are considered on the prerogative of mercy of His Excellency, the President. So at the end of the day, they are able to come out properly reformed and contribute to the masses that they were left outside the prisons where they've come.
You're watching Camnet Television and not just another channel. We'll take our second and final break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is inviting all skillfully gifted, talented and creative soccer players from across Zambia. Ages between 16 and 20 must come, train and join the club. The category of these gifted footballers have the chance to go and market their talent in Europe and USA through Camnet Stars Football Club, a team formed with a vision to produce quality international players. Please do not miss this brief open opportunity given to you. Camnet Stars Football Club could be your gateway to your international soccer career. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Date 12 December 2022 to 21st January 2023. Time 09 hours to 11 hours. Your time to shine is now.
Welcome back, and in international news tonight, a Nobel Prize winner and two of DR Congo's presidential hopefuls have accused President Felix Tshisekedi's regime of pursuing a policy of outsourcing the vast country's security. The accusation was made in a joint declaration released on Monday and signed by Nobel Peace Prize winner Denis Mukwege and presidential hopeful Martin Fayulu and Augustin Matata Ponyo. It also said that the DRC is threatened with fragmentation and balkanization, and that it added that the situation is the result of a glaring lack of leadership and governance on the part of an irresponsible and repressive regime. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
A Nobel Prize winner and two of the Democratic Republic of Congo's presidential hopefuls have accused President Felix Tshisekedi's administration of pursuing a policy of outsourcing the vast country's security. The accusation was made in a joint declaration released Monday and signed by Nobel Peace Prize winners Denis Mukwege and presidential hopefuls Martin Fayulu and Augustin Matata Ponyo. It also said the DRC is threatened with fragmentation and balkanization, adding that the situation was the result of a glaring lack of leadership and governance on the part of what he called an irresponsible and repressive regime. Fayulu was an unsuccessful candidate in the 2018 presidential election, who still claims more than 60% of the vote. Augustin Ponyo, who was Prime Minister between 2012 to 2016, has been roughed up by the court for alleged embezzlement. For the past year, the DRC has been facing the resurgence of the armed group M23, which in recent months has conquered large swaths of territory in North Kivu, the Congolese province bordering Rwanda. At least 10 people were killed and 5 others injured in eastern Burkina Faso when a minibus hit a landmine. The incident in the east, near the border with Niger, occurred on Christmas Day, according to government authorities. The governor of the Fada Nguma region said the death toll could rise as some passengers were still missing. No one has claimed responsibility, but this was an incident in an area where the government is battling insurgents linked to Al-Qaeda in North Africa and Islamic State fighters. Burkina Faso and its neighbors have faced jihadist insurgencies since 2013. The crisis has killed thousands of people and displaced more than 2 million. The military seized power in the country last January, promising an end to attacks, but the violence still rages on. Deepening restrictions on ivory trafficking have led to an increase of the trade in hippopotamus teeth, with potentially serious effects for a species already listed as vulnerable to extinction. This is according to wildlife campaigners and a report released by Born Free. Researchers say this pattern was clear as far back as 1989, when a worldwide ban on trade in ivory was first agreed, and has only intensified as governments have brought in new measures to tighten the ban. Like ivory, hippo teeth and tusk are often used for decorative carvings, but they are cheaper and easier to obtain. In November, 10 countries in West and Central Africa said there had continued to be a sharp decline in numbers of hippopotamus. Some of the East and South African countries are also the source of 3/4 of the estimated 13,909 hippos whose parts and products were traded between 2009 and 2018.
It's now time for sports news. Now, sports news tonight. Dean Smith has been sacked as Norwich City head coach after a run of just 3 wins in 13 championship matches. Assistant manager Craig Shakespeare and first team coach Liam Bramley have also left Carrow Road. Steve Weaver and Alan Russell have taken caretaker charge of the team. Smith publicly questioned the attitude of some fans after the home defeat by Blackburn on the 17th of December and said playing away was better for his side. Monday's 2-1 defeat at Luton was the 3rd defeat in 4. Canaries sporting director Stuart Webber added that the decision was a tough one, but one that the club felt was necessary to give them the best possible chance of achieving their objective of promotion to the Premier League this season. The Canaries have been top of the table on 1st October, on the 1st of October, but are now 5th and 12 points off the top 2. Smith was appointed as Daniel Fack's successor in November 2021, but was unable to save them from relegation back to the Championship last season. Fack won the second-tier title twice during his 4.5 years at the helm, but on each occasion they only lasted a single campaign in the Premier League. Smith began his managerial career at Walsall before moving to Brentford and then Aston Villa. He guided Villa to promotion from the Championship in 2019, and they reached the Carabao Cup final the following year. The former defender was sacked following 5 successive Premier League defeats at the start of the 2021-2022 season, only to take the Norwich job 8 days later. To end Camnet television news, the top stories once again. President Hakainde Hichilema cautioned against carelessly signing international agreements on mineral wealth. 9.5% of public health facilities have been recommended for closure, reveals the Health Professions Council of Zambia. Heaps of uncollected garbage in MUMBWA'S MALATA area irk residents. In international news, key figures in DR Congo say government outsources security in the east. And in sports news, Norwich City head coach Dean Smith sacked after a run of just 3 wins in 13 championship matches. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Psalms 103 verse 1 to 3. Praise the Lord, O my soul, all my inmost being, praise his holy name. Praise the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Thank you once again for watching Camnet Television News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.